There are too many people out there sitting around and thinking that things are just going to happen by themselves.
Yeah.
And it never happens that way. Like if you see a problem in the world, you need to take initiative and actually make that into something.
Hello, friends. Welcome to Let's Give a Damn. My name is Nick Lapara, and every single week on this podcast, I aim to share the stories of amazing damn givers from all walks of life and from all over the world so that you'll be inspired to give more damns than ever before. Friends, I hope you're doing much better than I am. This was a rough week. I still do not feel well, but I did not feel well way more over the last week. My asthma, allergies, I've been sucking on cough drops and just pounding some tea, and I've used my inhaler a bajillion times over the last week. Not super great, but I'm on the upswing. Tennessee has not been kind to us. We've been here a year, and we honestly cannot, even practically speaking, cannot stay here long term because it has been it's been hell for my family and I health-wise, just between allergies and asthma and just different things. Not great, but you don't want to hear me complain, do you? I just hope I say all that to say this. I hope you are doing much better than I am. Okay, this week's podcast episode is week 2 of a 4-part series I'm doing in partnership with my friends at the Clinton Foundation and the Clinton Global Initiative to bring you the stories of 4 young leaders that have graduated from their CGIU program and have gone on to create beautiful and meaningful projects, companies, or organizations. While I was at CGIU 2018, a few weeks ago in Chicago, Illinois, I caught up with the amazing Chelsea Clinton and asked her to fill me in on who these young leaders are and what CGIU is all about. So before I introduce today's guest, and you're going to love him, here is friend of the podcast and fellow damn giver, Chelsea Clinton. Welcome back. Thanks for being a return guest, albeit very briefly, to the podcast.
Thank you, Nick, so much for having me. I'm thrilled to be back.
Yeah, thanks. Okay, so for those listening on the podcast, what is CGIU and what particularly is happening this week at CGIU 2018?
So CGIU, this is our 11th CGIU, and it's the Clinton Initiative University, and we kind of bring together young change makers from around the world. So this weekend, we have more than 1,100 students from more than 100 countries, representing more than 300 colleges and universities. And while the majority are undergrads, we also have quite a few graduate students. Even here from the University of Chicago, we have students from the college, from the School of Public Health, from the medical school, the law school. And what kind of unifies all the students is that every student comes individually or often even more commonly collectively with 2 or 3 others, with a commitment, with a real action plan, or kind of in more corporate language, like a business plan for how they're going to scale what they're already doing or how they're going to start something that they want to do, whether that is getting rid of food waste on their college campus, or figuring out how to get healthcare to every homeless person in Florida, or how to ensure that every kind of young kid in elementary and middle school here on the south side of Chicago ultimately has access to kind of public speaking and debate skills coaching. So just anything that kind of you could think of as a challenge that you might have seen like in your own school or community experience, someone at CGIU this year, maybe in years past, is trying to tackle in a new and innovative way in their own lives.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And how many years?
So this is our 11th
year. So what is the effect, the aftermath? You went into a little bit of it, but if you could quantify or put metrics to it, what is the aftermath of this amazing event once they get released out into the world,
as it were?
Yeah.
Well, one effect is that we have this incredibly robust alumni network that is more than 10,000 strong, like after this weekend. And we try to help facilitate alums to stay not only kind of in touch with people that they met this weekend, but also to connect with previous CGIU alums, because oftentimes they can not only kind of learn from each other's experiences, how do you scale, how do you start to manage a team once kind of you're the entrepreneur who can't do it alone. So things like that is also like some of the younger CGIU students helping some of the older, although I'm still older than all of them, so that kind of feels strange to say, but like, some of the ones from more years past to think like, how do you use social media? So it's a really amazing, like, catalytic and collaborative network across the alums from kind of different generations of CGIU classes. And more than half of the students continue to send us their progress reports, which is really exciting. So to your point about kind of quantification, we have a real sense of, now the thousands of commitments that have been made, the impact that they're having. And, some students have really focused on, like, I want to help, like, every girl who went to my high school to figure out how to navigate applying for scholarships in the way that I was really thankfully successfully able to do. And so you have some people who say, like, I've now helped like 30 girls in my school. And then you have, other people who have helped, weed out like literally hundreds of thousands of like fake drugs in West Africa. Right? Yeah. So you have different scales of impact, but it's all profoundly important because every commitment is helping affect like real people's lives in very real and tangible ways.
Yeah, and then I was just talking with Christine Schindler, and she was saying how that she's been here for, coming back for many, many years, and now she's on stage.
She was first here in 2012.
Right, yeah, so now she's talking on stage, and she's seeing people that she's mentored, and so you have that kind of like, they're growing up together, and they're now leading each other. So that's got to be really, really meaningful. Cool. So how can Let's Give a Damn listeners, they're going to be listening to 5 weeks of interviews from this event, how can they support these young people?
So I think if they're really inspired by the individual young people, I hope that they'll support them directly.
Yeah.
Right. And because, Christine is a great example. I mean, she has both the work that she started at CGIU to help, initially when she was at Duke, kind of middle school girls kind of from the communities I'm sure she talked about, like get involved in engineering projects so they understood like engineering was about like making things and making things better and wasn't kind of this scary thing.
Yep.
And now she's scaled that to multiple chapters at multiple colleges and universities around the country. Like if you're really inspired by that, like reach out to her and I'm sure she can help you like give time or expertise, or if you are able and interested, like financial support to help start a chapter in a school that may not have one, or help expand a chapter if there's a school that you care about kind of nearby. So I think there are really tangible ways to be involved. And if you're interested in kind of CGIU broadly, like we're always looking for mentors and new partners. I mean, we're thrilled to have kind of for the first time this year, IBM here to really help provide like some of their like best like tech leads who are literally here spending time with students who have like more tech-based projects. These students now have access to like 3 days worth of these IBM.
That's incredible.
Like technologists who are telling them like, this is really feasible. This is maybe not feasible. Here's a better way to think about it. So if you have like energy and expertise and you're willing to spend a weekend with us, like get in touch and we'll invite you next year. Awesome.
Well, you're awesome. Thanks for all the work that you do. And thanks for joining me again on the podcast.
Thanks for coming.
My guest today is Arnav Dalmia. 5 years ago, Arnav graduated from CGIU, and 4 years ago, he and his 2 co-founders launched their new company, QB. Their mission was to get stationary. Wait, I think that's redundant. That is redundant. Anyway, their mission was to get people moving more. Hundreds of millions of people across the globe spend 7, 8, 9, 10 hours a day sitting at a desk and or in front of a TV. Mayo Clinic actually calls sitting the new smoking, and they're right. So how do they aim to end this epidemic? He and his pals invented QB, a compact seated elliptical trainer that integrates exercise into your routine, turning sitting time into active time. And what's cool about the product is that your data is stored in the system and shared across the cloud with your accountability partners or office mates so that they can cheer you on, or if you are the slacker, your people can encourage you to pick up the pace. 4 years into their company, they have 100,000 active users all over the world. Super, super cool stuff. In our short conversation, too short, because we had to get a lot done that day. In our short conversation, you'll get to hear a bit about his life, how he became an entrepreneur, and why he gives a damn about this particular issue. So let's get right into it. Here's my conversation with Arnav Dalmia. Arnav Dalmia, welcome to the Let's Give a Damn podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. thank you for coming. Thank you for taking time. I'm sure you've been talking way too much at this event, right? You did main stage today?
We did, yes.
How was that? What was that experience like?
It was wonderful. So we were one of the companies selected to be a part of the honor roll this year. About 15 companies, 15 individuals or projects were selected. And we were one of 5 companies that were given the unique opportunity to actually present on stage and talk about the impact that we achieved. So really fortunate to have that chance.
And I'm really fortunate because those are the 5 people that I'm talking to today. Awesome. Is the 5 honorees, and you're one of them. So again, thank you for being here. Before we get into the work that you're doing and the different ways that you give a damn, give me some of your story.
Yeah.
Tell me the people, places, and things. What are the kinds of things that shaped you into who you are today? Go back as far as you want to.
I grew up in India, in a town called Calcutta, which is the eastern side of the country. And I went to high school there, and then grew up in a family where I was really privileged, and I was really lucky to be privileged. But growing up in a country like India, you see people around you who are not so privileged. So I always had this thing that, given a chance, I do want to create some kind of positive impact. So I had a chance to come to Chicago, actually the University of Chicago, for my undergraduate education. So came here in 2009 to study economics at this institution. And that's when I first also learned about the Clinton Global Initiative. And really got inspired by the work that the Clinton Foundation was doing. And then the work actually done by so many student entrepreneurs. And since I grew up in this kind of situation, feeling really privileged, I wanted to give back. I wanted to do something that, it's kind of like giving forward.
Yep.
So I decided to make a commitment at CGI. And the commitment was focused on helping people at desk jobs stay more active, because we are a sitting society. That's exactly what we're doing right now.
We are literally sitting right now.
And 85 million Americans sit at their desk every day for work. And you're sitting for 8 or 9 hours and not moving as much. Our body was not designed to be like that.
Not
Our
at all.
bodies were designed to move, get movement. So we started this company and participated in the Clinton Global Initiative to meet with other like-minded people who could help us advance the mission.
That's really beautiful. So let's talk about how you're turning your idea into action. So go into the specifics of your company, your project that you started.
Sure.
And you did it, well, your project initiated in 2013, is that correct?
That's right.
Yeah. So we're 5 years removed from that now. How does that feel, first of all, to come back after 5 years, right? Like tons of students and tons of projects have gone through, and now you're back here. And before we hit record, we're talking about how you went to school right here.
Right.
So that's really fascinating that we're back here right on your campus. You got to speak in the athletic center in front of thousands of students and President Clinton and all of those things. That's really fascinating. So talk about your project and your company.
Sure. But firstly, Nick, to answer your question, it feels amazing. I think we feel really blessed and fortunate to have this opportunity, and life comes around a full circle. Like 5 years back, 6 years back, we were students here. When we first made this commitment. I have 2 more partners, and all 3 of us were really just driven to make sure that we actually turned this into something. Because you come across a lot of projects where initially everyone is really interested and everyone is really passionate, but then the passion fizzles out. With us, we wanted to create some kind of lasting impact. And I think it's not just our determination that paid off, but it's also a lot of things need to align. A lot of stars need to align in order for this to happen. So I think we were blessed in the way with a number of advisors and folks who could guide us in the right direction. Coming specifically to what QB is.
Real quickly, before you go there, let's talk for a second about what you just said, because I think that's very important.
Sure.
There's always, it doesn't matter what you're doing, whether it's a social impact project or a company or whatever, there's always a mixture. Tell me if you agree. Mm-hmm. Based on what you just said, I think you will agree. There's always a mix of, sure, there's talent and there's things about you that only you could do in this company, right? Like without a doubt. But there's also a hell of a lot of call it luck, call it blessing,
Yeah.
call it, like you said, alignment of the stars.
Yeah.
There are things that only happen to those that continue to press on, right? It's partly talent.
Absolutely.
But then it's partly just determination, just going out there and doing it, right?
You know, it's funny because one of my professors at this university, she would have a saying, the harder you work, the luckier you get.
Yeah,
and
right.
that's, I think, what you're talking about. You know, you're absolutely right. It's the determination. It's the drive that opens more doors for you. You know, it's very easy to say that I'm not being able to go through this challenge. I'm just going to take a seat, I'm going to take a step back and just leave it as it is. The other way you can approach it is by asking the right questions, by trying to ask, who is it that can help me out? And constantly driving that. And there is someone out there that can help you out. You just need to ask the question.
It's wonderful. Yeah. Okay. Now, Kubi. Kubi, is that how you say it?
It's QB.
QB.
Cubii.
Got it.
So QB originated as this idea that, okay, how do we help millions of Americans who are sitting, most likely even right now, get moving? You know, how do we improve their blood circulation? How do we get more movement into their lives? So we decided to invent a compact elliptical trainer that would sit underneath your desk when you're working at a desk and allows you to pedal while you are on your computer or on phones. And it's really quiet. It's extremely smooth. It doesn't distract you from the work that you are doing.
Sure.
So you can pretty much do this the entire time that you're sitting.
So let's talk metrics, numbers. So what's happening? How many people are using this? Are they seeing fruit? Are they seeing results from using QB?
So we have 100,000 active users right now.
Wow, that's amazing.
And collectively, they have traveled in a sense while sitting.
Right, yes.
They have collectively pedaled a distance of 630,000 miles.
Amazing.
And for context, they've crossed the moon already, and they're 10% on their way to Mars.
That's amazing.
That's the impact we've had, and it's the product is available online on our website, on Amazon, and all these places. So we go back and read reviews of our customers and what they're saying about the product, and a number of people have called it a lifesaver. They've called it godsend, and those are the kinds of reviews we just look at those, and they're like, you cannot even quantify the impact that's coming out of this. There are certain numbers that we can quantify, the distance pedaled and things like that. But, there's so much emotion in a lot of these reviews that we read. You can't even put a number to that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I completely understand that. So how do you get that data that from them? Are they all hooked up to like a central database, or how does that work?
So that's a great question. So we not only help people stay more active, but we also help them stay engaged. So QB connects to a phone app that keeps track of your progress and connects you to your peers who are using this device.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
So you can compete
that
with one
accountability.
another. Exactly. There's accountability. It's fun to compete with one another. And that's how we track the data and see how many calories they've burned and how much distance they've traveled.
Yeah, the accountability piece, I'm glad you shared that. That's really important because really humans don't do anything that they're not incentivized to do, right? Like it's just for good or for ill, and that's mostly for ill that we're that lazy or unmotivated. But unless there's an incentive, right, we don't do it. And so there's a good way to do that. Let's learn from you for a second, from the things you've learned, both as an entrepreneur and as a leader.
Yeah.
The people listening to this podcast are damn givers in the making, or they're already giving a damn in a certain way and they're trying to learn more. They're here to hear more stories and to be inspired to propel themselves forward. Give some general advice as you, again, have been a part of CGI, which is a great program. Just talked with Chelsea a few minutes ago. I love her involvement, and I love the whole thing. And then going on to, you made this commitment right in 2013, and now it's a company.
Right.
What are some general bits of advice about giving a damn? Why should everyone give a damn? Or for the sake of for the context here, why should everyone find their idea and turn it into action?
Well, that's a great question, Nick. I think there are too many people out there sitting around and thinking that things are just going to happen by themselves.
Yeah.
And it never happens that way. Like if you see a problem in the world, you need to take initiative and actually make that into something. Just expecting your neighbor or your friend or somebody else to take initiative, it's not going to happen. If everybody kept thinking that way, like, we wouldn't be here in this world today, right? So I think that's why people need to give a damn. I mean, we saw this problem in the workplace where we were sitting behind a desk for 8 hours a day, not moving much. And we were like, there has to be a better solution. There has to be something that people can do. So I got together with two of my friends and we decided to invent this product. And now, thanks to, the fruit that it's bearing, we basically have 100,000 users that we've impacted and really changed their lives.
That's really beautiful. Big question. You're going to die someday. Yeah. I'm going to die someday. We're all going to die. What do you want your legacy to be? If you could just kind of see into the future and kind of reverse engineer your life, right? Mm-hmm. Like, because I do that. I think about death all the time. Right. I think it's healthy and think, am I doing everything I can today? If this was the last day on earth, right. Did I do it well, right? Yeah. So what do you want your legacy to be? It doesn't have to be even QB or anything. Sure. Like, just if you could just step back and what do you want your legacy to be?
It's a great question, Nick. I think when someone thinks about me, I'd like them to think about like how many lives I've had a chance to touch. Nobody remembers you for the amount of money that you've made, or nobody remembers you for, what else you've done. It's this personal feeling of satisfaction. It's this thing, how many lives have I impacted? And I tell my friends this, and I tell my colleagues this, even if you have been able to positively impact one life around you, that's amazing. Because just imagine the impact if all of us, were able to impact one life next to us in a positive way. Like what kind of impact that creates at a global scale. So when I think about what I would like to achieve, it's, I kind of quantify that in terms of how many lives have I impacted, and it comes in different forms and ways. So what we're doing right now with QB, it's kind of impacting people's health. Our market is not just folks sitting at a desk, it's older adults who really don't have any other forms of exercise either. They cannot get onto a treadmill or a larger elliptical because they stand the risk of falling. So it's a way for them to exercise, and it's really touching so many lives. So that's kind of the impact I want to leave behind.
That's really beautiful. Arnav, thank you for taking time out of your busy day to join us here on the podcast. I'm really excited for what you'll continue to do, and we're rooting for you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Dear friends, thanks for listening, and I hope you're encouraged by Arnav's vision for his life and legacy. To find out more information on all web and social media links for this podcast conversation and all the others, please go to podcast.letsgiveadamn.com. That's podcast.letsgiveadamn.com. Once again, thank you for all the ways you support this show. You're helping us keep the lights on. Keep up the good work. Tell a friend. Leave a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts. You can also give $1 or $5 per month at patreon.com/letsgiveadamn. patreon.com/letsgiveadamn. This podcast episode was edited and produced by the incredible Chad Snavely. The music is by our brilliant friend, Propaganda. Thank you so much for joining me. I love you all, and I can't wait to spend more time with you next week for the 3rd installment in our Clinton Global Initiative series. Peace.